Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by and welcome to the 2022 Project Orchids. This is Group 2 in Update 3. So same format as usual, it's the same 3 plants for Group 2. They remain throughout the whole of the Project Orchids for 2022. Same 3 plants in Group 2. And we will be getting the 3 clips out of the 3 plants that were filmed in July and setting those up in the video, and then we will film them as they are today, and in the July clips I'll be discussing how they've done and what I expected of them, you know, through to September now, and then in the clip that I'll film today we'll discuss how they've done compared with what I was expecting and what I expect for the next 2 months, and then we'll revisit the plants at the end of the project in November. So yeah, let's get going. So here we go with what this one looks like in July, and quite honestly the only real change is the fact that the blooms have finished. They finished about 4 or 5 days ago. Long lasting blooms. Now what I'm hoping is to see some action on the plant, because this plant has done no growing. Yeah, once those canes finish they produce the buds and produce the blooms, and nothing else has happened, and it's still not happening, but then the blooms have only just finished. There's a very slight showing of white as though some roots are starting, but what should happen now is there should be a flush of growth. And that should be new growths and new roots. So need to keep this one hydrated now, so that'll encourage it to sort of move, and we'll see if it gets going. As I said, all I can hope for with this one is new roots, new root system, or extend the root system, and some new growths. So we'll have to wait and see. Okay, having just picked this plant up, this plant now becomes an emergency of sorts. It's failing. It's failing in as much as this cane is shrivelling and its leaves are starting to go. Now, on old canes you could sort of accept that, but this is a black hair type. That shouldn't be happening that quickly. This cane over here looks like it's following suit. And a while back I thought, well, we've got 2 new growths coming, one here and one here. Well, that one's failed. That's not going to grow. That one failed. There's not much sign of root life here, so this is not a happy plant. This is failing right now. Roots are going dark. These are papery. There's no substance left in this root system. So this has got to come off its mount now, like probably later today or tomorrow, and I'm going to try it in a pot. It's done reasonable on a mount, but it's not done well. When I first got it, it had strong canes, it grew new canes, but a couple of new growths have failed along the way, and it's not really replaced its original root system. So it needs help now, otherwise it's going to totally fail. And there are signs of some new roots near that new growth. So it's now or never, I think, otherwise I'm going to lose this plant completely. And I don't want to do that. I've never seen it for sale before or after. And I really like the blooms, and they're long lasting. So as I said, that becomes an emergency from now on. So next time we see this plant, something will have been done about it. It will either be on its way to recovery or it will be missing. One of the two. Those are the choices plants get here. You either try and you make it, or you try and fail, in which case you're no longer with us. So yeah, first failure, I would say, out of the Project Orchids. Not doing well at all, this one. So we will have a go at it and see if we can pull it back. Okay, so the progress on the Miltonia is as expected, so nothing unusual here. More of the older leaves are yellowing all the time. That's fine. That's a progress that I would have expected from it. And in addition to that, I said we should get some blooms on some of these new growths. Well, not sure about that one. That one's got a, we start with this double one here by the label. That one's got a spike on it. This one's got its spike coming, so that's just started. This one here is progressing. That was the most advanced growth last time round. That's actually formed its bulb and its spike is progressing nicely. The other new growth next to it is smaller. That doesn't seem to have a spike yet. This one round here has got a spike. This one here has got a spike. This one here has got, I'm not going to call that a spike. I don't think that's going to actually progress. And then this one here has got a spike. So it's done what was expected of it. A few of the new growths haven't got their spikes, but I'm going to say yet. Yeah, because if you look at the progression of the spikes, this is the most advanced new growth and the spike's up here. This is the next most advanced new growth and the spike's here. Yeah, and then the other new growths are not as far advanced and the spikes are still tucked in the leaves. So the fact that there's a couple of new growths, actually that has got its spike starting, seem to not necessarily have their spike. I think overall we're going to get one new growth without a spike, because if that is its attempt at a spike, it's distorted and it's in the wrong place. It's actually on the outside of the leaf instead of coming up in there. So this may be the one new growth that doesn't produce its spike. So as far as I'm concerned, this is done exactly as expected. What we should now get is a nice show of blooms, and yeah, it should be a good show. Even if there are only a couple of blooms per spike, it should still be a good show. But I think it may be staggered. Yeah, it might be a staggered blooming on the grounds that obviously these are going to be the first to open, however many they are, followed by those, and progressively down to either new growths that haven't started their spike yet or are only just starting. If those spikes are at that stage, will they catch this one up? Well, we'll have to wait and see. And it may be that this will still be in bloom for the next update. But if it isn't, I'll still do a short clip to include, yeah, so that we don't miss out basically by it blooming in between the two updates. So that's that one. Okay, the big Miltonia has done as expected, but has a trifle worry. There is a little worry with this. All of the new growths push their spikes on, but some of the spikes are not strong. Now you'll notice some of the spikes, like this one's only got one bud. It did have another one. This one has got one. It did have another one. And where those another ones have gone missing, they had quite a bad attack of mealybugs, and they'd bitten into the buds and everything like that. And I'm hoping that that is the reason for the next thing I want to look at, which is a bloom. One that looks like that, and another one that looks like that. So that bloom there has got no lip. Yeah? And the two petals are virtually non-existent. This would have been the bud, the three sepals, and it has no content. So that's really, really badly distorted. And this one is sort of similar. It hasn't formed properly. Now I'm hoping this is a consequence of the mealybugs biting into it. They went unnoticed. That's the problem. You know, the buds are a pale colour, you know, and the mealybugs were just hiding. So I've dealt with them. I mean, some of the blooms have formed fine. You know, some of the blooms are okay. This one's even starting to fade. So we did get nice blooms, and we did get what the progress on the plant that I wanted, which was for the spikes to develop and bloom. And I was hoping that they would be in bloom for this particular update, and they are. That's good. They certainly won't still be around in November, that's for sure. So yeah, we'll take a good look at the blooms on here, because they are They are very, very attractive. They're a lovely colour. They're a good shape, good form, lovely veining on the lip. So I like, you know, this to me is well worth growing, even though it's rather large. This will be the end of it in this pot. It's now reached the edge of the pot everywhere you look. And it's also been in the pot plenty long enough now that this bark needs replacing. So once the blooming's over and we start seeing the new growths form, it'll come out of the pot. These old parts in the centre down here, they'll probably just get discarded. These are the really old bulbs, and we'll do like we did with the Spectabilis. We will pick an old bulb with a new growth on it, or in this case it'll be an old, these will be the old bulbs by then, hopefully 2 new growths, a new growth on each, and we'll keep the back bulb. So that's the type of thing we'll probably be doing, is taking it back to its basics, separating it into individual units and potting them up in what will be a communal pot. So that will be the workload for this one, but that probably won't be happening until probably late winter, early spring, and we'll see how the plant goes. It may start its new growth early, and I mean, I don't take much notice of the time of year, I'm afraid. If the new growths start producing the new root system needs to go in the new media, not in the old media or hanging over the edge of the pot. So whatever time of year that happens, that's when it will be done. Okay, that's that one. Okay, as far as the Masdevallia goes, it has done something I'd rather it hadn't done, but we did sort of look into that in the, you know, a couple of months ago. I deliberately haven't touched this so that we can see it. It would have been so tempting to trim the ends of these leaves off with the brown tips and the ones with the yellowing tips. But I need it to be seen in case anybody else has come across it and might know. I mean, I just think it may have had too much feed. I doubt if it's had too little. I mean, we've got heat to progress with, but what we've got here is a distorted bud. But I left it on so that you could see the colour. Now, it is a deep orange with stripes, and it's got that purple sheen on it that you get from the tiny purple hairs. It's a very attractive bloom, but what's coming on behind it is more. Yeah? So last time I said, right, the next thing you need to do is get some blooms going. Well, its first attempt is distorted. I'd say that's undersized as well, so we'll see what the next few do. As far as the root progress is concerned, whoops, dripping all over me cloth. We do have a lot of root tips all over the place and an awful lot spreading down in through that moss. So I think it's done what was almost expected of it. By getting a decent root system, it can now bloom. It's got the strength to bloom. It's still producing new growth. There's still new growth, new leaves pushing up all over the place. And it may just be that these are old. But I need somebody who grows Masdevallias and has done for a very long time to say, do they drop old leaves? And when they drop old leaves, do they tend to go yellow from the tip and run down the leaf until eventually they fall off? Question. I haven't got an answer. I haven't. It's only recently that I've managed to get a couple of Masdevallias to look like a half decent plant. And I've still got some that don't. So, yeah, open-ended question. Is that natural? And if it isn't, any ideas what it might be? And we'll go from there. That's that one. That's the last one in this group. Now, the Masdevallia last time, we had a lot of blackened leaf tips, and we also had a lot of yellow leaf tips. Now, quite a few of those have fallen off. So they're gone. I haven't taken them off, they fell off. There's still a few left like this, but what you will notice on here is this is what we've got. It's a coating. Now, it may well be mould, mildew type thing. It could be that there is a film that's been left by the smoke bombs. It could be a combination of both. But either way, this one, out of the ones on that particular shelf, seems to have suffered more than others. So as a precaution, that's going to get a fungicide spray now. So if that is mould on there, then it'll kill it. It might also shine the leaves up a bit. Now this has had quite a few blooms in the gap, quite a few. There's only one left at the moment. It's still producing new leaves, so the shiny new leaves are still coming up through. We've got a good root system now, happy with that. The moss on the top seems to have done the job. And I was thinking when the first bloom opened it was undersized. I don't think it was, because all the other blooms have been roughly the same size. Again, very attractive blooms, lovely striping with those purple hairs that catch the light as the light passes over them, which I hope you can see. Yeah, so overall, as my Masdevallias go, that's not a bad plant. For me, that's not a bad plant, but I will give it a fungicide treatment. Once I've done that, if when the plant dries off and everything, that this film is still there, then I will just get a cotton wool pad and some clean water and just wash them off. It does just brush off. You can brush it off with your fingers. It comes off really easily. But obviously it's unsightly, and if it is mould, I'm sure it can't be doing the plant any good, so we'll get rid of it. So yeah, that's the last one in group 3. All I can expect from this is for it to continue to grow, because although the day lengths will shorten through as we go in towards November for the end of the Project Orchids, the day lengths will shorten. The level of light in here is not going to go down that much, only how long it lasts, because without the shade netting in here, this is very, very bright. So this is not going to suffer from lack of light, not by any means. Consequently, without the heat and with reasonable light, I expect this to carry on growing well on into the winter, if not through the winter and out the other end. The only thing that will stop it is the short day lengths. Otherwise it should keep going. As far as temperatures are going, it's going to be happy. You know, it's going to be happier now than it ever has been. So, not doing bad. Not bad at all. So there we go then. That's the end of update 3 for group 2. And the update 3 for group 3 will follow in the coming days. And then we will put it all away again until November. Hope you're enjoying the format and this business of following the same selected plants throughout a whole growing season. It's not for everybody, I know, but there are those that really look forward to this and enjoy it. And if you do, leave a comment. That would be nice. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by. The bit on the end. Don't usually do this on the Project Orchids, but I've just watched a video by Corinne. He's the guy from Greenwood Bonsai, and he's just put a video up that is forthcoming weekend. This coming weekend is a bonsai bash where he opens up the nursery, free to get in, food and drink, demonstrations, all that sort of stuff, accommodation overnight if you want. Bonsai bash once a year, and unfortunately he's got COVID, so he can't take part in his own nursery. Unfortunately, he's pretty certain he got it at the bonsai show on Sunday. That was the bonsai show I went to. I also had a long chat to Corinne about the tree I bought. So, putting 2 and 2 together, I may have a problem. Houston, we may have a problem. But I've been in close proximity to lots of others that have tested positive, and so far I've either got away with it or I've had it and didn't really know much about it, as some people do. Some people just get the snuffles and a few aches and that's the lot. And other people are obviously very ill. So we will look forward to finding out one way or the other. But I just thought I'd put a warning shot out there. That was a pretty close contact, and it's still around, you know. So as we always say, stay safe, don't be stupid. But we are going about our business nowadays. Most people are just sort of going, oh, blow it, let's just get on with life and see what happens, you know. Certainly in the past that was not a good attitude, that was a silly attitude, but with the current variant that's going around, that's pretty lightweight, quite honestly, you're far more likely to get it and not be seriously ill. But there are still people that are being seriously ill, so it's not gone away. Anyway, we shall await, you know, getting up in the morning, or getting up in the morning going, so far so good. See you next time.